Hello, A team. How are you? This is your faculty coach, Michael Williams, and I'm going to talk to you about retention. It was kind of monotonous or tedious the way we were doing retention previously or currently. So I came up with an idea, and I want to share it with you to see how it works out, and maybe we can make this a standard. Currently, with retention, I'm going to go in here. What I usually do is this is just admission user for an example. So if this was a student, usually what I do is I go to notify and I notify student and observer. Okay, this screen pops up as most of us know about when we do retention. And usually what we need to do is add the observer's email address in here. And we have to go to Outlook. If you don't know the email address, we have to go to Outlook, type their name in, and copy and paste their email address into here. Now, when we go into the message box, we also have to put in the student's ID, Brian Stratton ID, their first and last name, and then also in here we have to give some notes on the student's progress. And most of the time, what the program managers want is that we tell them what assignments they're missing and if they got low grades on certain assignments, and to kind of like encourage them, not kind of, but do encourage them, and to let them know that their assignments can be um, submitted so they can pass the course. Um, but from my understanding, some of us are putting in here that you're failing and we know that they're failing. We don't need to remind them that they're failing, but we have to state it in a way that that they still have an opportunity to succeed successfully past this course. So I came up with something to kind of like make it easier. Well, it made it a little easier for me. We'll see how that works out as you try it if you decide to try it. So what I do is I created a table in Word, and here I say hello in the student's name. Grade is currently at 45% at end of week 3 due to missing assignments and or low grades. Please see table below, and if there's any assistance I can provide, please notify me. And so this is just letting them know that they do have an opportunity to pass. We don't want to be outright, blatant. And even though it's just, but we're trying to motivate and encourage the students to pass this introductory course into Bryan and Stratton. So what I did here, I did a little color code. Red equals missing or incomplete assignments, and blue equals low grade, uh, anything that's below 70%. So what I did here, I created a table with all the week's assignments, and then right below the headings, there's a little text box here where we could put the color code in. So if the student is missing a couple of assignments, I would just uh, put my arrow, go down here, select that box, and then I would choose the color or shading and use the standard color of blue and red right here in standard colors so we can have a standard throughout the whole class or course or retention. So if they're missing assignments, that would be red. And if they're low grades, and that will be dark blue. So we just go ahead and mark it red. And for the hardware assessment, we can mark and say, hey, they got a low grade there. And then I would just choose this blue here, and they have a low grade. So now for the student, we can see for week 1 and week 2, they had a missing assignment in week 1, which was PC usage reflection, and they had a low grade in hardware assessment. As you go through the week, you can add or take off any of this type of color coding. And then what you would do is you would just highlight to uh, below 70 at the end of the parenthesis mark. And then you will do a control C or right click and copy. And then we'll go back to the retention center. And then what I usually do, after you copy and paste the student's BID and type in their full name, first and last name, and copy and paste the email address of the observer, what I would do here, I would just highlight this, or you can delete it, but I find it easier just to highlight it and then do a control V, and it puts in the information. Now, this hasn't worked out as perfect as I wanted to, because as you can see here, the color code for blue is not there. So what I do is usually I will just minimize this table and make it more readable. And then I will just hit enter a couple of times. And then the way the table is set up, it pushes down the blue color code. So I would just highlight that, uh, cut it, uh, go back to the top, right under red, do a control V, and then there it is. And now I can send this out, and then the observer and the student can pretty much see what's missing. I think this would be a little bit easier to understand because it's the same table, consolidated, that they see in the grade portion of their learning management system, Blackboard. And then I will just go ahead and submit. And you can see that the table shows up for that student in retention. And it's pretty much easier to see if the student gets the email, they can see it firsthand once they learn about the color codes. Now, you can actually do a video about this. I usually send this out at the end of week 3, end of week 4, and end of week 5. And after at that point, we don't really send out any retention notices after week 5. But what you can do, if students after week 5 are in the 50% range up to the 64% range or 63% range, we can send out individual emails and let them know what assignments they need to complete to raise that grade up so they can pass the course. And we can just send out individual emails from after week 5 all the way up to week 7. And remember, we also can, for students that are having challenging times or difficulties for whatever reason, we can also do a grade change. We can notify them that as well. They have up to 2 weeks to turn in their work, or they have up to Friday to submit some assignments, and we can submit a grade form, um, and which will make things better for the student. A little bit more work for us, but um, the better outcome for us if we can get these students to pass the course. So remember, you can put this in your announcements from week 3 all the way to week 5, uh, showing them showing them what the color codes are and how to read this. And this way the students can also get, multiple notifications on their status. And this is it about this topic. And remember to encourage your students when you're sending out retention notices, that they can, that they have opportunities to pass this course, if they, turn in their assignments. So this is it. This concludes my video. If you have any questions, please notify me, the faculty coach, Michael Williams, or Brendan Jackson, the program manager, if you have any questions. Thank you for listening, and stay in contact.